Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. 8 months after it was notified, OROP is at the centre of a major political controversy. Rahul Gandhi has said it has not been meaningfully implemented. Arvind Kejriwal has gone one step further and accused the Prime Minister of lying about OROP. So tonight we ask, where does the truth lie? What are the deficiencies in the implementation of OROP and how serious and damaging are they? My guests are the chairman of the Indian ex-servicemen's movement, Lieutenant General Raj Kadian, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson Raghav Chadha, Congress spokesperson Manish Tiwari, and BJP spokesperson Raman Malik. General Kadian, let me start with a simple question. You're chairman of the Indian ex-servicemen's movement. More importantly, you were at the forefront of the fight to get OROP. Has Mr. Modi substantially fulfilled his promise to deliver OROP, or is Arvind Kejriwal right when he claims the Prime Minister is lying about delivering OROP?
Karan, allow me to say that it is a bane in our country that every issue gets politicized. Lately, even the issues pertaining to the defense forces as well as to the veterans are getting politicized. Even death is not being spared. Now, it is my bet that most of the politicians don't even understand what OROP is. It is a concept. It is a concept of equity, parity of pension. Now, coming to your specific question, I think the statement made by Mr. Kejriwal is unfortunately factually incorrect. The government has implemented the concept of Paris in a major way, and most of the beneficiaries are happy. There are, of course, certain shortcomings, which more to do with the methodology of implementing that concept, which we are sorting out with the government. We are meeting. Mr. Parikar has been holding frequent meetings with the ex-servicemen organizations and the other stakeholders. We also gave those issues to the one-man judicial committee. Report of that committee has been recently submitted. Hopefully, we will be able to resolve those issues.
But General Kadian, I want you to re-emphasize one thing so the audience hears you clearly. You have said two important things. One, that Prime Minister Modi has substantially, and your words were in a very major way, implemented OROP. And secondly, you said Arvind Kejriwal's claim that the Prime Minister is lying is factually incorrect. Have I heard and correctly repeated those 2 points that you made?
Karan, you are right. That is what I said.
All right. Unfortunately, we don't have Raghav Chadha, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, with us. Hopefully, he will join us. But he will be joining us in a moment. One other point, General Kadian. The government yesterday put out certain figures. They claim that out of the 20,60,000 beneficial pensioners, 19,12,000 have already received one or more installment of OROP as of the 15th of September this year. Secondly, the government says that over 5,500 crore has been dispersed. Would you therefore accept that those figures are correct and a large sum of money has been made available to a very large number of pensioners?
Karan, those figures would be correct because the installments of the OROP were to be paid in 4 parts. First was on 15th March, second was on 15th September. All of us have got that, or most of us have got it. And next March and next September will be the balance 2 installment. As I said, a very large number of beneficiaries are happy. They have got the...
We're back on air with CTP. That was Rahul Gandhi speaking to ANI while waiting, I believe, at the Tughlaq Road police station. But we're going on with our discussion about OROP. Raghav Chadha of the Aam Aadmi Party is with us. Raghav Chadha, just before we had to take a break for Rahul Gandhi, you heard Lieutenant General Raj Kadian, the chairman of the Indian ex-servicemen's movement, categorically saying, A, that Mr. Modi has substantially fulfilled his promise of OROP. He then added that OROP has been fulfilled, and his words were in a very major way. And then he said that Arvind Kejriwal's claim that Mr. Modi is lying about OROP is factually incorrect. So let me ask you a simple question, Mr. Chadha. On what basis does Mr. Kejriwal claim that Mr. Modi was lying to the nation about the OROP issue?
Yes, so Mr. Thapar, first of all, there were multiple factions in the OROP movement. Some of them were happy with the the implementation of enhanced pension and considering that as OROP. Some of them were happy with that, and some of them are still protesting. And the fact really is that OROP that was promised by the Prime Minister before becoming the Prime Minister in Rewari in 2013 has not been given. The definition of OROP.
Forgive me, I'm interrupting you because you need to clarify something. When you say, Raghav Chadha, that OROP as promised by the Prime Minister in Rewari, you're talking about a speech he made as leader of the BJP, because he wasn't Prime Minister at the time, in September 2013. He didn't define OROP. He didn't state in Rewari what the terms and conditions of OROP would be. He simply spoke of OROP. So when you say what he promised in September hasn't been delivered, on what basis do you say that?
Yes. Well, yes, Mr. Thapar, if you would bear me out, you will understand that point that I'm trying to make. OROP has only one definition. Definition as per the Koshyari Committee, definition as per the deposition of the Secretary of the Ministry of Defence before the committee, definition accepted by both the Houses of Parliament, and definition as accepted and as laid down in number of judgments of the Supreme Court talking about OROP, which is...
Forgive me, Mr. Chadha, I'm interrupting you again because the factual basis of your statement doesn't actually bear out what Mr. Kejriwal said. The Defence Minister made it clear that OROP was being implemented as per the report of the Koshyari Committee. General Qadian and all the other members of, in fact, the ex-servicemen's movement were fighting for the Koshyari Committee recommendation and identification of OROP to be implemented. And the Defence Minister has confirmed that is precisely what the government has implemented. Now, that is the first part of where you're wrong. But when you say, as Mr. Kejriwal did, that the Prime Minister is lying, what is the lie? Tell me, what is the lie?
Yes, he is.
Well, what is the lie?
I will explain it to you. Yes, I will. Please, bear me out first, Mr. Thapar. Please do not interrupt me after every 15 seconds. Let me complete my point and then you will understand the point that I am trying to make. The OROP that the BJP is propagating and is claiming to have implemented is not one rank, one pension. It is one rank, multiple pensions. It defeats the very concept and definition of OROP laid down by Koshyari Committee, accepted by both Houses of Parliament. There are multiple fallacies in their version of OROP that they claim, and it is not even OROP. I will go to the extent of calling it only enhanced pension. There are multiple fallacies. Number one, the revision they say will happen once in 5 years and not every year. They say that premature retirement will not be considered and will not be under the purview of OROP. The base year will be calendar year 2013 and not financial year 2014. They say that the fixation of pension will happen as per the mean average of the pay scale.
You're talking about what the ex-servicemen's league calls deficiencies and anomalies. You heard General Qadian refer to them a moment ago. They have in fact been referred to the one-man judge committee, which has submitted its report. We don't know what it's actually said. I will go to General Qadian, but first we're going to go back to Rahul Gandhi because we have his bite now available in translation. And after that, I'll go to General Qadian.
और जो हमारी इस गाड़ी में ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया, राहुल गांधी और राजा बरार है। राहुल, आपको यहाँ पे क्यों रोका गया?
आप बताइए मुझे। मुझे तो बस कहा गया कि मुझे 144 पे डिटेन किया गया। यहाँ पे हम बैठे हुए हैं, यहाँ पे पुलिस स्टेशन नहीं ले जा रहे हैं, यहाँ बैठाए हुए हैं। मैंने तो सिर्फ आधे घंटे से बैठे हैं। मैंने तो सिर्फ एक बात कही है कि जिस प्रकार उस जवान के परिवार के साथ बर्ताव किया गया कल, मेरे सामने उनको घसीटा गया, उनको पहले गाली दी गई, उसके बारे में सरकार माफ़ी मांगे। हमारे सैनिक बॉर्डर पे खड़े हैं, उनका मोरल डाउन होता है जब ऐसा काम किया जाता है, और OROP का जो मामला है उसको ख़त्म करें।
राहुल, आप ये कह रहे हैं, अभी धर्मेंद्र प्रधान का बयान आया है, ट्वीट भी आया है कि जो लोग शहीद होते हैं वो बॉर्डर पे शहीद होते हैं, जो आत्महत्या करते हैं वो शहीद नहीं होते।
देखिए, वो सब ठीक है, मगर जो मैंने कल पुलिस स्टेशन में देखा अपनी आंखों से कि एक सैनिक के परिवार को घसीटा जा रहा है, कमरे से ऐसे पकड़ के घसीटा जा रहा है, उसी दिन उसके पिता की मृत्यु हुई, ये तरीका नहीं है।
जी।
तो वो शहीद का मामला है, वो सरकार को डिसाइड करना चाहिए, मगर जिस प्रकार से उनके साथ बर्ताव किया गया वो बिल्कुल अनएक्सेप्टेबल है।
आप गए वहाँ पे क्रिमेशन में, बाकी कुछ नेता भी गए, पर बीजेपी का कोई नहीं गया वहाँ पे।
बीजेपी का वहाँ नहीं जा पाएगा क्योंकि वहाँ पे मतलब उनके लिए रिस्की होता अगर वो वहाँ चले जाते, क्योंकि काफी गुस्सा था उनके खिलाफ। मगर खैर वो अलग बात है। देखिए सीधी बात है, जो बर्ताव उन्होंने इस परिवार के साथ किया है, शहीद परिवार के साथ किया है, उसके लिए माफी मांग ले, बाकी सब ठीक है।
क्या आगे भी आप इस मसले को आगे उठाएंगे?
हाँ, और दूसरी बात, सबसे जरूरी बात, जो OROP का जो मामला है, 7th पे कमीशन का जो मामला है, जिसमें मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को चिट्ठी लिखी है, उस पर भी कार्रवाई की जाए, जल्दी से जल्दी कार्रवाई की जाए। धन्यवाद।
गृह मंत्री ने अभी तक कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया है। शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए। ये थे राहुल गांधी, जो साफ तौर पे कह रहे थे कि OROP का जो मसला है उसको हल्के में कांग्रेस पार्टी नहीं लेगी। राहुल गांधी ने चिट्ठी भी लिखी थी प्रधानमंत्री को, OROP से लेके डिसेबिलिटी पेंशन से लेके तमाम मसलों को लेके, 7th पे कमीशन को भी लेके। पर ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि आखिर दिल्ली पुलिस ने राहुल गांधी को, आप देख सकते हैं कि ये वो जगह है फिरोजशाह रोड पे जहाँ राहुल गांधी को रोका गया है। 10-15 मिनट से राहुल गांधी यहाँ पे खड़े हुए हैं, आधे घंटे से खड़े हुए हैं, और ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि दिल्ली पुलिस आखिर क्या चाह रही है। बताया जा रहा है कि गृह मंत्रालय जो है, जिस तरह से दिल्ली पुलिस ने कल बर्ताव किया था उससे ज्यादा खुश नहीं है। रिपोर्ट मांगी गई है, पर आज एक बार फिर से ये कहीं ना कहीं दिल्ली पुलिस की नर्वसनेस नजर में आ रही है, जिस तरह से राहुल गांधी को गाड़ी में भर के आधे घंटे से यहाँ पे रखा गया है। राहुल, just a word in English for our viewers in the south also. Why are you resorting to optics? That's the allegation.
Allegations might be whatever. The fact of the matter is, yesterday I was in a police station and a family of a army man was dragged out of the room. They were abused and that was disrespectful to them. I don't know why they were arrested yesterday, why I was arrested yesterday, why the hospital was closed yesterday. What happened to me is irrelevant. But the fact is that they were disrespected, and I think the defense minister owes the family an apology. This is a matter of morale of the army, this is a matter of the soldiers on the border. That's number one. Number two is, there is a huge issue on OROP where the Prime Minister has clearly stated that he has done OROP. This is not correct. That is why this gentleman has killed himself. And the Prime Minister, it doesn't behove the Prime Minister well that the Prime Minister makes statements that are not true. So the Prime Minister must actually do OROP, and the 7th pay commission is another issue. I've written a letter to the Prime Minister.
But he hasn't replied, and yet as he keeps silent while you're protesting on the streets.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when these are important matters, they should be looked into, and our soldiers should be respected. That's all.
Rahul, the question is, the 10 years UPA was in power, you never implemented OROP.
That's not the question. The question is, why was this family humiliated the way they were? That's the question.
But would you give the credit to the Modi government for implementing OROP?
The question here is very simple. Why is this family being humiliated? Why was this family arrested? And why is OROP and the 7th pay commission not implemented properly? Thank you.
Would you expect the ministers to understand? They are raising a question on the martyrdom of the Mr. Kejriwal.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking to us. Rahul Gandhi here clearly stating that the question is that why was the family of the Mr. R.K. Kejriwal actually humiliated? That's the question that Rahul Gandhi is stuck on. He's right here at Firozshah Road trying to make a point and trying to say clearly that he will not budge and this protest will go on and on. With camera person Wahid, this is Mosmi Singh in Delhi for India Today. फिरोजशाह रोड पे राहुल गांधी, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं इस गाड़ी में ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया, राहुल गांधी और राजा बरार है। राहुल, आपको यहाँ पे क्यों रोका गया?
आप बताइए मुझे। मुझे तो बस कहा गया है कि मुझे 144 पे डिटेन किया गया। यहाँ पे हम बैठे हुए हैं, यहाँ पे पुलिस स्टेशन नहीं ले जा रहे हैं, यहाँ बैठाए हुए हैं। मैंने तो सिर्फ आधे घंटे से बैठे हैं। मैंने तो सिर्फ एक बात कही है कि जिस प्रकार उस जवान के परिवार के साथ बर्ताव किया गया कल, मेरे सामने उनको घसीटा गया, उनको पहले गाली दी गई, उसके बारे में सरकार माफ़ी मांगे। हमारे सैनिक बॉर्डर पे खड़े हैं, उनका मोरल डाउन होता है जब ऐसा काम किया जाता है, और OROP का जो मामला है उसको खत्म करें।
राहुल, आप ये कह रहे हैं, अभी धर्मेंद्र प्रधान का बयान आया है, ट्वीट भी आया है कि जो लोग शहीद होते हैं वो बॉर्डर पे शहीद होते हैं, जो आत्महत्या करते हैं वो शहीद नहीं होते।
देखिए, वो सब ठीक है, मगर जो मैंने कल पुलिस स्टेशन में देखा अपनी आंखों से कि एक सैनिक के परिवार को घसीटा जा रहा है, कमरे से ऐसे पकड़ के घसीटा जा रहा है, उसी दिन उसके पिता की मृत्यु हुई, ये तरीका नहीं है जी। तो वो शहीद का मामला है, वो सरकार को डिसाइड करना चाहिए, मगर जिस प्रकार से उनके साथ बर्ताव किया गया वो बिल्कुल अनएक्सेप्टेबल है।
आप गए वहाँ पे क्रिमेशन में, बाकी कुछ नेता भी गए, पर बीजेपी का कोई नहीं गया वहाँ पे।
बीजेपी का वहाँ नहीं जा पाएगा, क्योंकि वहाँ पे मतलब उनके लिए रिस्की होता अगर वो वहाँ चले जाते, क्योंकि काफी गुस्सा था उनके खिलाफ। मगर खैर वो अलग बात है। देखिए, सीधी बात है, जो बर्ताव उन्होंने इस परिवार के साथ किया है, शहीद परिवार के साथ किया है, उसके लिए माफी मांग ले, बाकी सब ठीक है।
क्या आगे भी आप इस मसले को आगे उठाएंगे?
हाँ, और दूसरी बात, सबसे जरूरी बात, जो OROP का जो मामला है, 7th पे कमीशन का जो मामला है, जिसमें मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को चिट्ठी लिखी है, उस पर भी कार्रवाई की जाए, जल्दी से जल्दी कार्रवाई की जाए।
5 फिरोशा रोड पे राहुल गांधी, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं इस गाड़ी में ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया, राहुल गांधी और राजा बरार है। राहुल, आपको यहाँ पे क्यों रोका गया?
आप बताइए मुझे। मुझे तो बस कहा गया है कि मुझे 144 पे डिटेन किया गया। यहाँ पे हम बैठे हुए हैं, यहाँ पे पुलिस स्टेशन नहीं।
Why are you resorting to optics? That's the allegation.
Allegations might be whatever. The fact of the matter is, yesterday I was in a police station and a family of a army man was dragged out of the room. They were abused, and that was disrespectful to them. I don't know why they were arrested yesterday, why I was arrested yesterday, why the hospital was closed yesterday. What happened to me is irrelevant. But the fact is that they were disrespected, and I think the defense minister owes the family an apology. This is a matter of morale of the army, this is a matter of the soldiers on the border. That's number one. Number two is, there is a huge issue on OROP where the Prime Minister has clearly stated that he has done OROP. This is not correct. That is why this gentleman has killed himself. And the Prime Minister, it doesn't behove the Prime Minister well that the Prime Minister makes statements that are not true. So the Prime Minister must actually do OROP, and the 7th Pay Commission is another issue. I've written a letter to the Prime Minister.
But he hasn't replied, and yet as he keeps silent while you protesting on the streets.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Yeah. And when these are important matters, they should be looked into, and our soldiers should be respected. That's all.
Rahul, the question is, the 10 years UPA was in power, you never implemented OROP.
That's not the question. The question is, why was this family humiliated the way they were? That's the question.
But would you give the credit to the Modi government for implementing OROP?
The question here is very simple. Why is this family being humiliated? Why was this family arrested? And why is OROP and the 7th Pay Commission not implemented properly? Thank you.
Why are you resorting to optics? That's the allegation.
Allegations might be whatever. The fact of the matter is, yesterday I was in a police station and a family of a army man was dragged out of the room. They were abused, and that was disrespectful to them. I don't know why they were arrested yesterday, why I was arrested yesterday, why the hospital was closed yesterday. What happened to me is irrelevant. But the fact is that they were disrespected, and I think the defense minister owes the family an apology. This is a matter of morale of the army, this is a matter of the soldiers on the border. That's number one. Number two is, there is a huge issue on OROP where the Prime Minister has clearly stated that he has done OROP. This is not correct. That is why this gentleman has killed himself. And the Prime Minister, it doesn't behove the Prime Minister well that the Prime Minister makes statements that are not true. So the Prime Minister must actually do OROP, and the 7th Pay Commission is another issue. I've written a letter to the Prime Minister.
But he hasn't replied, and yet as he keeps silent while you protesting on the streets.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when these are important matters, they should be looked into, and our soldiers should be respected. That's all.
Rahul, the question is, the 10 years UPA was in power, you never implemented OROP.
That's not the question. The question is, why was this family humiliated the way they were? That's the question.
But would you give the credit to the Modi government for implementing OROP?
The question here is very simple. Why is this family being humiliated? Why was this family arrested? And why is OROP and the 7th Pay Commission not implemented properly? Thank you.
Go back to the point. That was Rahul Gandhi. We're going to take a quick break. But very importantly, when we come back, we still have General Qadian. And General Qadian has told me that when Rahul Gandhi was in fact in power with the UPA government in 2010, General Qadian met him to seek his support and help for UPA. And Rahul was not helpful. So despite the position Rahul is taking tonight, and you've heard him take it, his attitude in 2010 when he was in a position to do something was not helpful. When we come back after the break, General Qadian will tell us exactly what happened when he met Rahul Gandhi in 2010. And the second thing we'll pursue after the break is that point made by Raghav Chadha of the Aam Aadmi Party, that the anomalies and deficiencies in the way OROP has been implemented are so serious that they actually amount to the fact that OROP has not been implemented, which is why Arvind Kejriwal says the Prime Minister is lying. And to be honest, Rahul Gandhi echoed that when he said the Prime Minister's claims were not correct. The Prime Minister had made untrue statements. Does General Qadian agree that the anomalies and deficiencies are so serious that OROP has not been implemented? Or are Raghav Chadha and Rahul Gandhi making a mountain out of small molehill? General Qadian, you heard Rahul Gandhi just before the break passionately taking the side of what he claims were aggrieved defense service officers, claiming that in fact they've been badly treated. Now, I believe in 2010, when the UPA government was in power and Rahul Gandhi had real influence on how the government behaved, at that time in 2010, you went to meet him to get his help persuading the UPA government to deliver OROP. Was he helpful, or did he decline to help?
Karan, after I founded the Indian ex-servicemen movement in 2008, until 2014, we knocked on many political doors. Every possibility we explored. In the Congress, I had met Dr. Manmohan Singh, I had met Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. Then we thought that Rahul Gandhi may be the emerging leader, he might be more helpful, accompanied by 2 other major generals. We went and met him at his residence in the normal morning time, 9:30 or whatever. But he point blank told us, we were very disappointed. He says he cannot help. And we came back with that. I reported that also to the environment. After that, we met him on 14th of February 2014, after a break of nearly 4 years, where he met a large number of us. And when we asked him about OROP, he said he will try. So that gave us some hope. And 3 days later, it got announced in the parliament. So what you're saying is a fact. I would also like to correct Raghav Chadha on one more issue about the Rewari rally. I was present on the stage. I myself had addressed the rally just before Mr. Modi arrived. Mr. Modi merely said, and in fact we were disappointed with what he said. He said, on the subject of OROP, I asked the government to issue a white paper. So we were disappointed, but later on BJP included that in their manifesto, so we felt satisfied.
Let's come back for a moment, General Qadian, to Rahul Gandhi. You have said 2 important things. One, when you met him in 2010, you asked for his help. He declined and wasn't willing to help. 4 years later, you met him again, this time in February 2014, which is, I believe, just 2 or 3 months before the national elections. At that point, he indicated a willingness to help, and 3 days later, Mr. Chidambaram officially announced OROP, and in the budget that followed, he put 500 crore aside. But are you suggesting that the change of heart in February 2014 was more because the national elections were just 2 months away and he needed votes and he wanted to win the support of the defense services?
I will not comment on his heart, what was in the heart, but it is a fact, historical fact, that in their 10 years of rule, they sanctioned OROP in the last 10 weeks. That is a historical fact. one can draw one's own conclusions.
Okay.
He told us on 14th February that he will try. That gave us hope, and on 17th it got announced just 3 days later.
Now, A.K. Antony, who was defence minister in the UPA government, has told the Hindustan Times this morning, and I'm quoting Mr. Antony, Rahul Gandhi played an important role in the UPA's decision on OROP. Many times, I repeat that word, many times, he requested then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and all of us in the government to implement it as soon as possible. The impression you're giving me is that you don't agree with Mr. Antony, because that's not the impression Rahul gave you either.
Karan, what transpired in those 4 years, I am not privy to that, but I have full regard for Mr. Antony. If he says that, he must be absolutely correct. So during those 4 years, there must have been internal discussions between Rahul Gandhi and the government functionaries, and he may have influenced the government. Mr. Antony must be right on that.
Now, let me bring in Manish Tiwari. Manish Tiwari, one gets the clear impression that Rahul Gandhi is simply dredging up OROP today because he wants to play politics. Because quite clearly, when he was in a position to influence the government in 2010, he did nothing. You've just heard General Qadian say that categorically he refused to help. And incidentally, General Qadian also said that before that, Dr. Manmohan Singh and Mrs. Gandhi, who he met, were also not helpful. And the fact that Rahul is now doing this today purely for political purposes is underlined by Shashi Tharoor's tweet, where Shashi has admitted that this is the beginning of Congress's revival. This is therefore being done not with the defense services in mind. You're doing it because you're using it as a platform to boost the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi.
Well, Karan, that's absolutely and completely untrue and gross, for the lack of a better word. May I take you back to a discussion which had taken place between you, General Qadian, I, and another gentleman when you were in CNBC TV 18 and used to do a similar show just on the cusp of the general elections in the May of 2009. If I remember correctly, it was the February or the March of 2009 before we headed into campaign mode. And at that particular point in time, on the cusp of an election, there was a discussion with regard to the OROP. Unfortunately, General Qadian misinterpreted that, or my defense of the government position to really suggest as if I was personally opposed to OROP, and then circulated CDs of that program during my election in order to defeat me. So therefore, I find it very strange when General Qadian makes all these statements,
to what General
because
Qadian
it's
said about
really his
Rahul Gandhi
word against another person who had gone and met.
But forgive me, how is that an answer to what General Qadian said about Rahul Gandhi? I pointed out to you that whilst Rahul Gandhi today is taking a passionate position allegedly in support of the defense services, in 2010, when he was in a position to do something, General Qadian says he flatly refused to help.
Karan, the actual conversation...
It is his...
Go ahead, General Qadian.
General Qadian's word against Rahul Gandhi's word.
Well, yes, absolutely, but remember, General Qadian had two other people. General Qadian, can you name the other two who were there with you who could be witnesses?
Yes, it was Major General Satbir Singh and Major General Ranjan.
Major General Satbir Singh and Major General Ranjan. Once again, can you repeat the details of that critical conversation?
When we went to meet him, we were made to sit in a lawn, and the police inspector told us that when Rahul comes, we can get up and give our papers to him. There were a number of people sitting there. So when he came and he said, okay, give the papers, I said, look, if we had to only give the papers, we would have sent it by post. We want to meet you, we said firmly. So he gave us 2 minutes of private time in his office. I didn't use the word refuse. He said, why don't you go to the government? I said, we have been to the government, they are not able to help. He said, then I can't help. That is all he said.
But now you said two other very important things. First of all, he actually was quite happy to take papers and not meet you. It was only because you protested that he agreed to meet you. In other words, his first initial response was to take your papers and let you go. But when you insisted on a meeting, he granted a meeting. But then you also said the meeting was roughly 2 minutes long. So it wasn't a very long meeting at all. Both of those are very important things because they indicate and show how interested he was. and how committed he was at that point of time to trying to help. And it seems as if he wasn't very interested and wasn't very committed. That's what you said, General Qadian. Isn't that right?
Absolutely right. In those 2 minutes, I think he was in a hurry. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi called him twice. They were to fly to Madhya Pradesh somewhere. So ultimately he said, look, my mother is waiting, I have to go. But when we told him that the government is not able to help, when he said, why don't you go to the government? We said, they are not helping. He said, then I can't help you. That is all he said.
And he ended by saying, I can't help you. But the other thing you've indicated is that he had other things on his mind at the time that were of greater importance to him, including being summoned by his mother. The priority that he was giving to the OROP issue was at the bottom of his list of things to do on that day at that time. Manish Tiwari, do you want to step in very quickly to defend your leader?
Well, Karan, at the, for the lack of a better word, this is conjecture and hearsay. What we've heard is one side of the story. There are always two sides to the story, and I'm sure at some point in time when Mr. Gandhi, does an interview with you, or maybe I can talk to him and come back to you with the other side of the story. But the fact remains that ultimately, if it was a question of electoral maths, then the UPA could have done OROP before the 2009 elections also. But we did not do that because there was an evolving discussion in government.
One interruption, Manish Tiwari. Forgive me interrupting you. General Qadian has named two other people who were present at that meeting, Major General Satbir Singh and General Ranjan. Now, if you dispute General Qadian's words on the grounds this is one man's word against another man, General Qadian versus Rahul Gandhi, you got two others that anyone listening to this program can go to and get their verification. And if they also support what General Qadian has said, then it will be 3 against 1. And surely 3 people won't make the story.
Your experience as a journalist, you must have learned that there are 2 sides to a story always.
Quite right.
With all your experience as a journalist, Karan, you would have learned by now that there are 2 sides to a story. There is General Qadian's side of the story, and there would be Mr. Rahul Gandhi's side of the story also.
The other could be wrong. Let me bring in one more point about General Qadian, this time with reference to what Raghav Chadha said earlier, and it also has reference to what you heard Rahul Gandhi saying a moment ago from that car. Raghav Chadha said earlier that the anomalies in the way OROP has been granted, those were to do with the fact that people who take premature retirement won't get it. Those were to do with the fact that equalization would happen once every 5 years rather than annually. And thirdly, it is to do with the fact that the pension for each grade will be fixed at the median of that grade rather than at the upper limit. I want to ask you a simple question about those anomalies, General Qadian. Are they so serious that they completely vitiate OROP and therefore mean that OROP hasn't happened and the Prime Minister is lying when he claims he's done it? Or are they deficiencies that are worrying but not so serious as to undermine OROP altogether? Which of the two?
Karan, Raghav Chadha is right in that respect. There are 2 anomalies which I mentioned that we are trying to talk to the government. First is the anomaly about frequency of revision of pension.
The anomalies are. We know what the anomalies are. Don't repeat it. I've just repeated what they are. I'm asking you a different question. Are the anomalies so serious that they vitiate the concept of OROP and therefore the Prime Minister is lying when he says OROP has been implemented? Or are these anomalies not as serious because you began by saying OROP has been substantially implemented? So that's my question. How serious are these anomalies?
Seriousness is a matter of individual interpretation. Out of the 2, one costs less than 100 crore. I don't think it is serious at all. That is the yearly change. Other one, the cost as per my estimate is about 2700 crore. If they take the maximum of the scale on a year to fix the benchmark, we have been talking to the government that you have given the elephant, why are you stuck on a tail?
Sir, but please come back. Don't lose us in detail. Just tell me one thing. Are these so serious as to mean Mr. Modi lied about OROP? Or do you stand by what you said at the beginning of the show when you said that Arvind Kejriwal's comments were factually incorrect and that OROP has been delivered in a very major and substantial way? Which of the 2?
Yes, it has been. It has been, Karan. The concept of OROP, which they have always been saying, has been implemented from their side. Whatever the anomalies are, they are not very serious in my interpretation, which we have also fed to the one-man judicial committee. Their report is also with the government today. We have also been talking to the defense minister.
Absolutely, sir. I'm stopping you. We don't have time for the details, but you made a very important point. In your opinion, the anomalies are not that serious, and you stand by your original statement that OROP has been delivered in a very substantial way, as well as your statement that Arvind Kejriwal's comment is factually incorrect. Raghav Chadha, you've just heard the chairman of the ex-servicemen's movement say that the anomalies are not that serious to suggest that Modi is lying. You're building up a case that Modi is lying on the grounds of these anomalies. He's just said they're not that serious.
Okay. A couple of quick points. First of all, there are various leaders, protagonists of the ex-servicemen movement like General Satbir, like Major Gandhi, etc., who have been saying what I have been saying, that OROP in its purest form has not been delivered. What has been delivered is one rank, many pensions at best. And if you were to take the interpretation of General Raj Kadyan on your channel, what he is in effect saying is that OROP has been given, but because there are various pensions given for the same rank and the same length of service to multiple bureaucrats, OROP is still in effect being delivered. Now I'll give you one example. Just bear me out for 1 minute and you'll understand this entire concept. Let's take anomaly number 1, revision every 5 years and not every year. What will this lead to? This will lead to 5 different pensions for one rank for officers retiring at the same rank at the same length of service. Now, does this tantamount to one rank, one pension? And if I were to offer you a basic explanation, if officer A and officer B retire at the same rank,
paragraph 6.4, you have to let me interrupt you. Paragraph 6.4 of the Koshyari Committee, which is what the Indian ex-servicemen's movement wanted implemented, explicitly says that equalization will happen once every 5 years. Paragraph 6.4 of the Koshyari Committee explicitly says it, and the Indian ex-servicemen's movement wanted the Koshyari Committee definition of OROP to be implemented, and that's what the government has done. So, hang on a moment. You're suddenly on weak ground.
No, I'm not. I have only pointed out one anomaly which the ex-servicemen absolutely did not accept, and they said that a judicial committee needs to be set up with 5 members, not with 1 member, so that there is no IS lobby that can influence the outcome of the commission, and this will be taken up. Now, this is only one anomaly. There are several other anomalies that lead to discrepancies in multiple pensions.
But I'm going to have to end there, forgive me. I'm going to end by pointing out one little thing that you said, Raghav Chadha, because I think it's important to mention this and highlight it for the audience. You began just now by saying that OROP in its purest form has not been delivered. Your exact words, OROP in its purest form has not been delivered. You're absolutely right. I don't disagree with it. Every point you make about the anomalies substantiates that. But not delivering in the purest form is very different to saying the Prime Minister lied. And unfortunately, your leader, Arvind Kejriwal, said the Prime Minister lied. Had he said the Prime Minister hasn't delivered OROP in its purest form, he would have been correct. But he didn't. He said something else. He said the Prime Minister has lied. And as you heard General Kadyan say, that is factually incorrect. But I'm afraid we've run right out of time. I apologize for the fact that this was a somewhat fractured program tonight, but I hope you've still been able to follow it. And in particular, you've been able to hear those very important things that General Kadyan revealed about Rahul Gandhi's attitude in 2010. My thanks to all my guests and my apologies for not being able to take the discussion further with them. Goodbye. Good night.